Hi friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com. Welcome back to my tarot parlor. Today I thought it would be a good idea to begin a new playlist showing representations of various different card manufacturers, particularly people who publish historic decks, because there's a few of them out there. And some people may not be aware of who the best ones are, and I thought I'd create a video list about that. I'm beginning this series with the decks published by Giordano Berti of Italy, and I'm choosing him because I think he's my favorite, even though there are several who are very good. I have a soft spot for Giordano, and so I'm choosing to do his decks first. When you order a deck from Giordano Berti, you can expect a few things. You could expect high quality cardstock, inks, pride in the presentation, and also you could expect that you'll be getting, an historic tarot deck, usually from Italy, but not necessarily. Shedding light and showing us, giving us a glimpse of what beautiful cards from days gone by look like. Now, when you order from Giordano, you have a choice of deluxe and standard boxes. Now, most of the time I order standard boxes because it's more cost efficient for me. I'm not a millionaire, and I know it's still a quality product, and the cards themselves don't differ between deluxe and standard. It's just the box. But look at this standard box. I believe this is the Perrin Tarot. Yeah, look at the standard box. I mean, it's still a work of art. It comes in marbleized paper. I don't know if all of Perrin has the same paper. For example, in all of the Vernano decks come in green marble paper. I think that might be true, but I don't want to say a blanket statement, but they all come with beautiful marbleized paper. And usually I can identify what deck if I want a particular deck, I don't even have to look at the title card on the front. I could just recognize it by the marbled paper. And the more elaborate decks, this one being an example, the Foudras of 1845, the Oriental Tarot, is a little bit more fancy. The box looks like a book. I didn't really close this as well as I should have. It comes with a satin tie. And all of his decks, whether they're the deluxe or standard, will come with a card indicating what number of the lot you have. A book, a little booklet that says a little bit about the deck itself, as well as shedding light on other decks that he has available. This particular deck came with a few extra cards, samples from other decks, if I wanted to purchase them. They always come with a note. I've never gotten a deck from Giordano that didn't have a nice note, personalized note. They all come with a general little white book, but their general little white book is always, is full of information, insights, sometimes spreads. I think they're all the same. And the decks, whether it's deluxe or standard, well, sometimes they come with coupons, so you could save a little bit of money on the next one. I'm never usually smart enough to use them. I usually just buy the deck and then realize later, oh, I had a coupon. But anyway, they all come in a nice little pouch. And the cards themselves are just beautiful. Some have rounded edges, This one does. Some are square cornered. But the cardstock, although there may be, like a slight sheen if you like hold it to the light, they're not glossy in the least. I mean, I would categorize them as matte finish, high quality cardstock. I never riffle shuffle my cards. I don't know if I would ever riffle shuffle this if I could. Sometimes because the quality of paper is so good that it's a thick deck, so I don't know how easy it would be to riffle shuffle. So there, for example, is a more elaborate of the presentations. But as I said, even the standard decks are very high quality. I'm going to show you the Giordano because that happens to be my favorite of his decks that I have. Again, although it's just a standard box, it comes with a pouch. It comes with a booklet that describes what is known about that particular deck. And, again, information on how to purchase some of the other decks he has. Let me put these back with, I don't want to lose track. And again, always comes with a personalized note. Always comes with a card to tell you what number of the run you have. Always comes with a little white book. And the book about the deck itself, which I think I already mentioned. And let me show you some of the cards from the Giordano because it's just such a beautiful, beautiful deck. This one is not as thick as the other deck that I showed you, but it's comparable. Are the cards flexible? To some degree, yes, they're flexible. But again, I would never riffle shuffle these. I have too much respect for my cards to riffle shuffle. I know that's a personal thing, and I don't mean to diss anyone who riffle shuffles, because after all, cards are cards, and they're intended for play. And, it's not unusual that somebody would riffle shuffle a deck of cards. I just don't, because I see them more as my tool. And some might argue that how I shuffle is just as damaging to cards as the riffle, but I go like this usually. That's how I shuffle. Anyway, getting back to this deck. I mean, look at this beautiful deck. The inks are high quality. The color is just the way it's applied is, I don't know how he does it, but it's beautiful. They might just be reproductions, facsimiles of the decks. I don't know if Giordano gets involved with painting or, coloring. As far as I know, these are facsimile decks, but they're high quality facsimile decks. I wanted to find the full card to, well, here's a telltale that it's a Piedmontese deck. This type of Ace of Cups, is from the Piedmont region. So if you ever see an Ace of Cups that's, got a bounty of flowers or natural, abundance, that's a clue that it came from the Piedmont region of Italy. This deck is from, I believe, 1830 maybe? Let me look. I have to cheat because I don't know. I'll get back to you on that. I wanted to show you the full card, which I should have had out. Give me a second to pause. I'll be right back. Here I am. Don't you know I went through the whole deck only to discover it was the last card in the deck. Anyway, the reason I wanted to mention the full card of this particular deck is because it's the first time that a butterfly ever appeared in tarot cards. And that's, again, like the cup full of flowers is a Piedmontese indicator. I mean, there are lots of other ways to identify this type of deck, but those two little things are two ways to identify a Piedmontese deck. And you could see how, the imagery in a card, and we always can see this anyway, how something different that doesn't usually appear in a particular card can give new insight into a card's meaning. The appearance of a butterfly, for people who use this deck for divination, right? It would trigger, it would lend us to think of a different aspect, a flightiness, or of whatever it meant to the people, the audience that would have received this deck. There's no dog here, as there is in the Marseille decks. The Piedmontese, like the Bolognese, they, were traditional, and so they kind of stayed true to the type of decks they made. True, this is a new edition, the butterfly, but they generally did, remain true to their own traditions. Anyway, I just thought I would start with Giordano Berti's decks. I have others. I'm surprised I don't have more. I think I only have 5 of his decks. And I asked myself, why do you only have 5? You love his work, but that sometimes I already have a deck that was created by another art house before I, discovered Giordano's work. And if I'm not compelled to have multiple decks of the same one, maybe I wouldn't buy another deck, if I already had, 3 or 4 other representations of it. But sometimes with Giordano, especially, he'll produce decks that you're not going to find anywhere else, like the Perrin. I don't believe anybody else has made this deck. I don't believe anyone else has made the Vernano. I don't think anyone else has a copy of the Oriental deck that I showed. And at the time that the deck was created, there wasn't any politically correct terms. Nowadays maybe we would call it Asian, but they didn't. And so you could expect to find some beautiful historic decks that might not really have been recreated elsewhere. I know there is a tavern style deck created of the Perrin. I happen to have that too. Okay, I'll pause and get that so you can see. Okay, you can plainly see that this is just the kind of tarot deck or, card deck that you would expect, any card manufacturer, to create, for the purpose of card playing, So this particular deck, the Perrin, is a deck that already exists for card playing. It's not so easy to get your hands on, but you can find it if you're clever and you, go through Italian channels. But the Giordano deck is just, high quality paper. It's going to last. It's going to be the kind of deck that you leave to a family member and that you cherish, So anyway, I think this is long enough for you to get the idea of what you could expect when you buy a Giordano Berti tarot deck publication. High quality, historic decks, mostly Italian, but not necessarily. And until next time, friends, peace and stay well.